Confucius Institute at the University of the West Indies, Mona, is the first of its kind in the English-speaking Caribbean. It promotes the teaching of Chinese language and culture and operates within the Department of Modern Languages and Literatures in the Faculty of Humanities and Education. As an academic and cultural institution with links to the wider community, the University of the West Indies was ideally suited to host the Confucius Institute.
The Confucius Institute is certainly important to the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. We are a community which prides itself in diversity. The Confucius Institute brings a new dimension to the work of the campus. It certainly has enhanced the learning experience for our students.
Dr. Courtney Hogarth, who was awarded a doctoral degree in classical Chinese art from the Central Academy of Fine Arts, is the first Jamaican director of the Confucius Institute. He delivered the inaugural lecture titled From Jamaica to China, Language, Learning and the Future. In July 2010, the Confucius Institute at Mona was officially opened in partnership with Taiyuan University of Technology in China.
Chinese was being offered at the university before the Confucius Institute came along. Now, when the Confucius Institute came, we decided that the program that Modern Languages had would now be abandoned in favor of the teacher coming through the institute teaching in modern languages.
The Confucius Institute started out with 4 students in the evening class and has grown to surpass 200 registered Chinese language learners, including university students, high school students, and business and evening students from the community. Since June 2012, the CI at Mona has become an accredited institution for the Hanyu Shuiping Kaoshi Chinese proficiency examinations, and about 50 students have sat HSK, YCT and HSKK exams. At the University of the West Indies, Chinese language classes are geared towards students as well as individuals from the wider community and are for credit. Mandarin is also taught as a credit course at the Shortwood Teachers College. The work of the Confucius Institute continues to blossom with a new generation of learners. There are affiliated Confucius classrooms in 3 high schools in Kingston. At Campion College and Arden High School, Mandarin is provided as an extracurricular subject. There are plans afoot to introduce Mandarin to Jamaica College in September 2014.
We have Chinese teachers and volunteers who come to us through Hanban. Some of them come from Taiyuan University of Technology, with whom we partner. And the volunteers particularly are master's degree students who come also through Hanban, directorship of the Institute. I wrote a 5-year plan which would decide what activities we would do during this time. And I thought it was necessary to write into that plan an anniversary lecture. And therefore, starting in 2011, since our anniversary falls in February, we had the first guest lecturer, who was Professor Kung out of Memphis University. He was followed in 2012 by Professor Zhao Yang from Beijing University. In 2013, we invited world-renowned Taiji master calligrapher performer Al Chong Liang Huang. And this year, what we did in order to celebrate 5 years of existence was that we broadened the anniversary lecture into a culture week and invited a filmmaker who came with 2 of his works.
China and Jamaica enjoy a very close relationship, and we think that the cultural exchanges and also people-to exchanges are very important components of bilateral relations between China and Jamaica. The Confucius Institute in Jamaica plays a very important role in enhancing the mutual understanding and deepening of friendship between Chinese people and Jamaicans.
The success of any institution is dependent upon the quality and commitment of a dedicated team with creativity and drive to make a vision reality.
Confucius Institute is a platform for the friendship between China and Jamaica, and also for the exchange programs for both TUT and UWI. So in the long term, I think that is through the institute, both can benefit.
As far as the future goes, my understanding is that on the recent visit of the Prime Minister to China a few months ago, various agreements were signed, and one of them include the expansion of this institute and assistance in expanding our teaching facilities and learning facilities. So some sort of building which will incorporate the institute but also incorporate other facilities which the faculty can draw on. So from that point of view, down the road, we're going to benefit infrastructurally as well from the connection.
I think that the possibilities are endless. To begin with, I would like to see the promised building with more space, because we have discovered over the years that there's so many things happening here, and places like the CBA and the Chinese community in Kingston really supports the various activities. And I would like to see that realized in the next 5 years.
It is my hope to have student exchanges between institutions in China and the University of the West Indies. And this would be a two-way exchange with Jamaican students going and visiting China, the institutions in China, and to have more Chinese students. We have a very small number of Chinese exchange students here now. And this certainly will enhance the educational experience of our students.
I think in the future there will be many more in Chinese, an increase in Chinese investment in Jamaica. And with the visa waiver policy in place, I think very soon we'll see an increased number of Chinese tourists visiting Jamaica. So that will raise demands of, I think people who can speak Chinese here, such as tourist guides, even shopping guides who can speak the language. So I think the Confucius Institute here is, among many other things, at least can serve as something like a Chinese language training center.
It's an evolution that has to take its time. And so I believe the Confucius Institute, with its infrastructure, that there's a new building to be established, and with a wider outreach of larger numbers of people coming and going, that it should be a constructive and really a very good relationship between China and Jamaica, and the Confucius Institute has an important role to play in that.
I think the Confucius Institute is an invaluable resource. I rely on it. My colleagues in other institutions rely on the Institute because of the sensitivity that it is able to impart about how we might conduct business with the government, as well as with business institutions in China.
In terms of Chinese language learning in Jamaica, what I would like to see is that some of these same people that I mentioned would come back and be affiliated with the Institute, but also teach Chinese to the community through the high schools, perhaps through the primary schools, so that the Confucius Institute and what it does can have some kind of longevity. If you are going to build anything at all that is meaningful, it takes time, it takes hard work, and it takes sacrifice.